sheeting off of this back clamshell should in principle be a really simple task. So obviously I'm going to make it not that. It's going to be visible, so I want it to be presentable and, you know, pleasant to look at. So just a blank sheet of aluminium is going to look pretty crap. Also, it has to serve a number of functions and it has to comply with a number of restrictions. So let's start with the functions. First up, we did discuss this original glass fibre bucket that came with the body, which has a nice functional boot, what we call it, recess, dumping ground. It's not going to work, right, because too many reasons, but I like the idea of that functionality. So function one is that we must have a recess in here and it's got to be neat. The second function has more to do with this. So the plate will also need to support the fuel filler, probably about here. And that also can't be anywhere near this, otherwise if I fill up like a moron and spill fuel into here, it's going to cause a problem. So yeah, out the way. Let's look at the restrictions. The most obvious one. The roll cage is a bit of a non-negotiable. I can't get away from having it, so we're gonna have to work around it. Now, I mentioned that we're gonna have a recess and a fuel filler. Those are gonna be two separate panels, I think, and they're gonna be linked together with rivets. So what they each give me is the option to go and scallop around this and have an edge. So if I do that, I can have another panel that will close this off with the same sister scallop, and then we'll rivet down there. So there will be 4 panels. Well, not 4, there'll be 5, because we have this to deal with as well. That bit just between the seat belts and the back seats, well, that's also a good big hole, and it probably will need some form of panel there too. So that's 5. Which needs to go on first? This one, because it's the lowest point, we're gonna build up on top of it. But before we do all of that, this needs securing. That now gives me an extra 4 securing tabs on the top, here, here, and another 2 over there. I have left a bit of gap here rather than pulling them flush and bolt them in, because now we need to look at sheeting, and I have a feeling modifying this any further might go to a detrimental place. Yeah, I think I might need spars, which will tie into here, but let's just build some panels first and see how it looks. Daniel. So I've got to a point with this thing where it's kind of on, roughly. So that now fits, and there's holes which I'll deal with to make that fit better. However, I failed to consider the 3D element of this, which means that all of my work has pretty much been moot. So we have issues here, because this slip here is much higher than this lip here. So the panel that goes there would in essence need to be about 5mm thick to bring that up. And that is not in the spirit of a lightweight vehicle. So there may have to be some contouring and manipulation of this aluminium, but oh so much worse is my failure to consider how this all assembles. Consider that this panel here is designed to rivet on top of that panel there, which I've swaged in a lovely little fashion, right? And then this panel here would go on top of whatever panel goes there, right? So, consider this. That is now bolted to this, and this panel goes on last, yeah? So how do you tighten up the Jubilee clip underneath there once that goes on? Because nothing here can now be accessed. The problem I'm going to have is I'll need to go up from underneath to then tighten that up, which is a bit of a process considering this is all going on the top. So ultimately, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Do you know?
Not really, no.
Your interest in this car wanes by the day.
I don't really do Locost.
It transpires I don't really do low cost either, because every time I do it wrong. So, back to the drawing board. Inspiration has been found. Look, I've decided, obviously we did the front one, and that has now given us a lip, a decent enough concentric lip across the whole thing to seat the rest on. This kind of works now because I've trimmed it and tweaked it a wee bit. I've folded up the edge here to raise so that it'll kind of go from here and then taper down to this. So not immediately obvious, but that does actually now sit more or less flush there because that's swaged down. This then goes over here, clears the seat belts, giving it a wee bit of dressy dress. But you'll notice, crucially, there is no luggage compartment because there's going to be no luggage, it's a race car. But I think the simple way to get around the IVA question mark about whether or not you can have the fuel filler next to the luggage thing is to not have a luggage thing. So that'll be revision 2, but revision 1 will be this. So that just leaves me with this guy here to nibble, which I'll take you through the process on, and then it'll be a case of riveting it all down. However, once I rivet it down, that's it on for good. So things to consider: this will be wet. There will be, you know, actual wetness. This is going to be sharp, so I'm probably gonna have to trim it before I rivet with that old black stuff that, you know, stops you cutting your fingers. And then just a wee sense check, just one last sense check. What have I forgotten? Because if this pulls water and there's no runoff for water, let's get out of the car. So let's not have that. But let's think about how we don't have that, because there's no other option yet, is there? Yeah, bit of thought just before we finish things off. Right, this isn't finished. I've just put these wee self-tappers in to hold it in alignment because obviously it needs to kind of go in a certain place. But I don't want to rivet it all because that means it doesn't get by the roll cage if I need to take it apart.
Great.
No, I'm telling yours, but tell them.
Tell them.
Yeah, you just don't care. This is kind of as far as I want to go at the moment because we still have loom to deal with.
We have one to deal with.
So I think we might be in and out of here a bit. So we'll just leave this. But I have had some thoughts on trimming because obviously trimming can be an expensive task. But I thought we could just stick something over this to make it a bit less. But I didn't really want to go and buy trim. But fear not. We're in Ibrox. So what I've got is a nice big sheet of genuine leather. Not the pleather you normally get on cars. Genuine leather. A nice, I mean it is obviously a number of bits of leather, but it's been properly stitched together. Genuine leather. And that, as luck would have it, is exactly the right width to go over here.
Perfect.
We'll just need to trim it down, obviously make some holes for the roll cage. But that, look, is black like the car. That will go over there and sit lovely.
And it's going to look like a couch.
Why'd you say that?
Because look at the pattern.
But it's a low cost. So this is low cost solutions.
Yes, this is the one item that has been low cost.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we'll tell them why it's low cost. So it feels like a bit of a quick one, but it's time to review the list and see what we've managed to achieve. And it's not actually that bad. The rear clam, we now know will fit, so that's strike one off the list because all we need to do is run the bolts in when it's time to final fit the panels on the top, and that is all secure. Also, we can strike this off the list. The fuel filler is now exactly what it needs to be and requires no more thought. So, quick preview into next week, and in a rare break from form, I'm actually going to start from the top of the list for a change. We're going to get into the dash. But until then, thanks everyone for sticking with this. I promise Done by a Ton will happen. If you just found this, like, bell and subscribe because yes, we're nearly finished, but there's plenty more from where we started. Go have a look back and kiss goodbye to 45 to 50 hours of your life. If you really want to say thanks for more than that, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. That's where all the early stuff comes out. You can get, you know, Patreon only stuff and other stuff, and just go have a look. And lastly, it's time for me to say goodbye. Drive safe.